Hi everyone, it's Liv. Welcome to the spring 2024 edition of the Swatch Show. I'm here to tell you all about the amazing new colors from the Colleen Hoover collaboration that just launched. We have 8 new shades inspired by 4 of our favorite and some of y'all's favorite Colleen Hoover books. I'm going to show you what they look like on swatch sticks. I'll show them to you in the bottle, and then we'll compare them to their most similar color cousins in the Olive & June universe. You can hear kind of what they're all about. So let's start over here with the book It Ends With Us. First we have Lily Blooms. This is an incredible shimmery, deep magenta color. It has kind of a mix of smaller shimmer particles in it, as well as a couple larger ones with a really pretty kind of silvery shift to it. Stunning. Next we have Brave Blush. This is probably the most wearable neutral I think I've ever seen in my life. It is a pastel pale pink, but it has a lot of beigey blush tones to it, so it's a little bit less saccharine sweet, a little bit more essential neutral, but it does give you this amazing kind of brave boost of confidence, just like the character herself. From It Starts With Us, I'm wearing both of these shades on my nails right now. We have Atlas, which is a semi-sheer pearly white. This is a really true kind of crisp pearl white with not a ton of iridescent shift to it. It's just really neutral pearly. We have Corrigan, which is a pastel chartreuse green. This is a super unique shade. I'm obsessed with it, and it's a fun little nod to how Colleen discovered Olive & June, because Not Kale was one of her favorites. Her son is named Kale, so we wanted to have kind of a nod to that green world that she loves so much. From the book November 9, we have Diner Date. This is a essential, fun, hot pink kind of color. It will carry you from spring all the way through to summer. It's just so joyful. We have Same Day Next Year. This is a really unique shade as well. This is kind of a lighter to mid-tone blue with a really pretty pearlescent finish to it. It has this very aquatic kind of vibe, which is really fun. And again, it's sort of semi-sheer, so ideal to layer, really fun as a topper, or it can be kind of a fun base to something that you want to put on top. And then from probably one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books, if not my most favorite, we have Perfect Pinwheel from Heartbones. This was a shade we were dying to make for spring generally, because this kind of true coral, this very classic, bright, springy coral, is one that we don't have yet, and we are obsessed. And then last but certainly not least, we have Island Time, which is another really unique shade, semi-sheer, iridescent, playful kind of mid to light tone purple. Has a really cool kind of pinky blue shift to it, which is fun, and it really kind of dances. And if you've read the book, you know it kind of takes place on the beach, so it's a very playful spring kind of vibe. Okay, I'm gonna get this stuff out of the way here, and let's start with some color comparisons, shall we? So I'm gonna get these friends out of the way. There are a lot of swatch sticks on my dining room table, y'all. So let's have some fun. Let's see where this takes us. So we're gonna start with Same Day Next Year, which I mentioned is this kind of shimmery, pearlescent blue. And we have a fair amount of blues in the Olive & June universe, but this is definitely a super unique shade. So I pulled a couple just to show you how different it really is. So I've got Sequin Everything, which was from our Midnight Disco collection back in winter. And this is a much sheerer color than Same Day Next Year. And Same Day Next Year is a pearlescent kind of color, whereas Sequin Everything is an iridescent. I also wanted to bring in Honest and True, which is a little bit of a different tone of blue. BP over here, which is of course much lighter. Also wanted to bring in Whale of a Time, which again is much more sheer and iridescent. And then Charming, which is one of our quick dry shades, which is really beautiful again, but an iridescent, not a pearlescent. So Same Day Next Year is super unique. Not a Cloud is much darker. And then Friend or Anemone, again, iridescent. So Same Day Next Year stands apart as a very, very unique shade from this collection and in our world generally. but still fun to see it next to a bunch of blues. Okay, let's keep going. As I like, maybe I should do a behind the scenes swatch show video of like the absolute chaos that is all these like little swatch sticks everywhere. Alrighty. We're gonna do Lily Blooms next. Again, this one really stands apart as a unique shade, mostly because of the finish, but also just color tone wise. Closest match color wise would be Wild Orchid, which is this like purpley magenta pink kind of color. Also wanted to bring in How Do You Spell Bougainvillea, which is a bit purplier. There's a hot pinkness to Lily Blooms that I think makes it really special. I wanted to bring in Bouquet because this is an iridescent kind of mid-tone pink. So they have similar finishes, but Bouquet is of course much lighter and it's quick dry. And then we've got Grape Soda, which is an entirely different universe. Very bright neon kind of purple. And then we've got XOXO, which is a hot spicy pink. Definitely a unique kind of shade. Now that I'm looking at this, and because it's the swatch show and we should do it live, I also wanted to bring in Biggest Bow over here. Maybe I should get a pen so I can write upside down. Should I do that? Yeah, probably. I mean, we used to do these live, so I might as well make it feel kind of live and crazy. And Biggest Bow. Biggest Bow, I think, gets a little bit of that more, it gets that depth to it that I think Lily Blooms has, but again, doesn't have the shimmer, so totally different. But this is a really stunning shade. All right. Swatch party continues. All right, here we are with Atlas. Again, nothing really like Atlas in the collection. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, it's like a pearly kind of topper. I've seen this film before. You really haven't, I promise. So here's Baroque, which is a quick dry kind of pearly shade, but the huge unlock with Atlas is in its neutrality. So Baroque has this kind of mother of pearl kind of shift to it where it goes sort of in this like purpley green world. Another similar kind of comp would be a shade like Frosted Gloss. Two things different about Frosted Gloss versus Atlas. First, Frosted Gloss is a little bit sheerer than Atlas. So this is 2 coats of Frosted Gloss and this is 2 coats of Atlas. You can also see it on my nails here. And Frosted Gloss has that similar like mother of pearl iridescent shift to it where Atlas just has like a pure white pearl shimmer kind of frost to it instead of this kind of like open up an oyster and see how it shifts kind of vibe. Wanted to bring in Beb, which is our sheer white. That one has no shimmer in it, as you probably know. And then we've got Pink Appease. Again, that's an iridescent, so that one shifts in that sort of mermaidy kind of green, purple, blue sort of way. Elevator, which is a beloved quick dry shade. Pink Goldfish, a classic, but again, shifts kind of bluey green. And then I also wanted to bring in Office Party. I think interestingly enough, Office Party is a little bit closer to Atlas in a lot of ways because of its like more milky white base, but this one has, you know, those larger kind of iridescent flecks in it. So, I mean, I feel like I'm going to say this a lot during the swatch show, but so many of these shades like completely knocked our socks off because they are so different from anything else you've seen from us before, which is why we're so excited about this collection. Alrighty. What is next? We play this game, it's not really a game, but when we do big sort of team calls, we'll have like a agenda of fun things that we're talking about that day. And so when it's ready for the next sort of section of the agenda, someone will say, who's next on The Price is Right? So you guys can join in on our fun. Here's Perfect Pinwheel. This is a really classic coral shade. Again, you may think you have a coral from us before, but this one definitely stands apart. It's much richer and deeper It has that perfect mix of kind of peach, pink, and orange to it that absolutely screams spring fun. So I'm bringing in some comparisons for you here. Probably closest shade matches for this one are going to be, where are my other sticks that I dropped on the floor maybe? Okay, let me go. Oh, they fell, of course, under my chair. But Perfect Pinwheel, this is the second time I filmed this, you guys, because Pebbles had an absolute meltdown in the first version. And I thought that would be too crazy. But Perfect Pinwheel, you can see here, is much deeper orangey coral versus Carrot Juice, which looks like kind of a classic orange, and then Melon, which is a lot more orangey as well. But let me grab my friends that fell on the floor. Does this feel alive yet? Stinson Sunset for me goes a lot pinker. And then Glow, which for me was kind of a classic coral. Again, compared to these other shades we have, all feel very, very orange. And Perfect Pinwheel kind of unlocks this coral world that we've never had before. And this is going to be the petty color of the season, no question about it. It's on my toes, and it's also, as of right now, it's on Colleen's toes as well. So if you want to match with me and Colleen on your petty, Perfect Pinwheel. Okay. Here we go with Island Time. This was a really fun one to pull swatch sticks for, because again, you're gonna be shocked by the gorgeousness of this situation. All right, so this is kind of a playful purple with iridescence to it. And not only do we not have a color like this, we don't have any kind of like solid version comparison of it, because it really stands apart both in finish and also in like type of purple that we have. So I pulled some shimmery purples just so you can see kind of the vibe, but again, one of a kind, truly. Here's That's Heart, which is a kind of jelly purple color with pretty packed iridescent little micro glitter in there. Fierce and Loving is a little bit pinkier than Island Time for me. This is kind of like a pinky lilac, and this is more of like a mid-tone kind of purple. Wanted to bring in Jacaranda, which is a true kind of lavender. Anytime you bring TT into a world of kind of true purples, TT starts to look very gray, but I always think it's fun to see how it's different. You're Invited, another true lavender Jacaranda, of course, being in Quick Dry. And then I wanted to also bring in Prairie, which is a color that can go kind of dusty, almost gray when you see it compared to these brighter sorts of colors. But the iridescence in Island Time is stunning. So there's Island Time. Okie dokie. Here we are with Diner Date. We were just talking about this on another call, that SGT is, I think, still wearing Diner Date press-ons, and we were shocked that none of y'all found in our in her Instagram bio that she had the kind of side eyes that we use when we're talking about a secret. But she was wearing Diner Date like the week of Valentine's Day, basically. So if you go back to her stories from that time, she's wearing Diner Date press-ons. Here are some cool comparisons for Diner Date. Another spring favorite from 2021, Hibiscus. This color was like a pinky red for us at the time, and now I think in this lineup it looks like a true red, which is always fun. And then XOXO, another spicy hot pink next to Cherry Crush, which is that sort of nearly neon kind of situation. Gonna bring in some hot strawberry as well. And then Biggest Bow I'm gonna bring back, because Biggest Bow is a lot more like purpley magenta versus Diner Date, which is a pretty classic hot pink. Its closest comparison would definitely be XOXO for me, but there's a little bit of purpliness here, where Diner Date is a little bit more red, but not quite as red as Hibiscus. Do you know what I mean? All right, there's Diner Date. All right, Brave Blush. This one is probably the most nuanced color in the collection, but if you've heard us say it once, we'll say it again. We know how important it is to find your perfect neutral kind of pink shade, and the smallest little adjustment in tone or, you know, coolness or warmth makes such a difference if you're trying to find your dream shade. So we will always continue to make a bunch of pink so that you can find your perfect pink. All righty. Okay, here are our pink friends. Closest comparisons to Brave Blush would be kind of like a bit of a mix of like Point and Pink Sands and GH. Pink Sands is a cool tone pastel pink, and then GH is a pastel blush pink. There's a little bit more pink to Brave Blush than there is to GH. GH can almost look kind of like peach, like peachy beige when you see it in this kind of lineup, which is so funny. But really think that this lineup kind of brings it to life. Rosy Tips goes a lot more dusty. Wait Doesn't Come in Pink is the super, super cool tone. So I think when it comes to finding your perfect light pink, thinking about whether you want something that feels more like a sweet pink or whether you want something that feels a little bit more beigey neutral. Point, I think, is another strong version of, like, you know, if you start to separate the colors like this, GH, Brave Blush, and Point, these are kind of more blushy beige. Rosy Tips is kind of in its own world as dusty. And then I think if you're someone who favors more of like a cool toned sweet pink, you're in this Wait Does It Come in Pink, Pink Sands, SCL, SE kind of world. So finding your perfect pink is no easy feat, but we are here to help you find it, and we will never stop making pretty pastel pinks. Okie doke. Last one. Are we ready to party? Corrigan. This one is probably, I would say Corrigan's probably my favorite from this collection, because I think it is just such a cool shade. I love how much Colleen loves it as well. And it's just cool. It's cool and different. So starting with Corrigan here, bringing in Not Kale. So immediately you can see right away Corrigan is a lot more pastel. It's a lot softer. It has this kind of like sweet mint gum kind of feeling to it, whereas Not Kale goes a lot more yellow chartreuse. KMC from our Spring 2020 collection is a pastel sage. Again, it's a lot softer, more gray, more subdued. Energize from our gold collection is a lot less yellow than Not Kale, but it's a lot brighter than Corrigan. I think if you kind of added a little bit more white pigment to Energize, you get something closer to Corrigan. And then I also wanted to add Minty, which looks a lot more like a turquoise, I think, in this lineup. And then because I can't leave Well Enough alone, also wanted to add in a Sleeping Bag from our summer 2022 collection, which is a little bit more of like a pastel version of Minty. So, I mean, does it get any cooler than this shade? The answer would be no, in my opinion. Anyways, that is the swatch show for the Spring 2024 collection, our collaboration with Colleen Hoover. We are so excited about these colors. We hope that you are as well. If you have any questions, ask us in the comments below. Can't wait to see you guys in these amazing shades, and we'll see you next time. All of y'all, bye.